Hello and welcome back, and let's go ahead and get started with our onboarding flow app. Okay, so like I said, today we're going to be building this custom onboarding flow in SwiftUI from scratch. The onboarding screens, as you already know, are a key part for the first impression experience, guiding your users through your app's main features. Okay, so we'll begin with the onboarding step struct, which represents an onboarding step with associated content and styling. Okay, so we're going to create a new folder here, and we're going to call this model. Okay, this is going to be our data model. So we're going to create a new empty file, and let's name this empty file onboarding step. All right, so in this onboarding step struct that we're going to create, we are going to conform to two protocols, identifiable and equitable. Okay, so start with import for foundation, and then we're going to create our struct onboarding step and will conform to identifiable and equitable protocol. All right, so it's worth explaining why we are doing this. Now, identifiable lets SwiftUI know that each onboarding step has a unique identifier or an ID that can be used to efficiently track, differentiate, and update items in a for each loop or for each view. Now, without identifiable, SwiftUI would struggle to distinguish between items in a collection, especially if their content were duplicated. So that's the reason why we use identifiable. Now, equitable lets us compare two onboarding step instances to check if they are same or not. Now, this is especially helpful when we want to respond to the state changes or when we need to avoid unnecessary UI refreshes, right? So your equitable actually requires a function which is equal, which we're going to be overriding. But before we override, let's go ahead and create some properties. So I'm going to take Xcode's suggestion, but I'm going to change a few things. For example, I'm going to change this one to let, and I will initialize this as UUID. Now, our ID is going to be uniquely identified and it's going to be created right here for us as soon as this struct is initialized in an object. Okay, now next thing I want is basically an image. So image name is what I'm going to expect, and it is going to be a string type, meaning name of the image is going to be passed in. We are fine with title. We're just going to change its property to let because we're not going to be changing any of these properties. So let's start with constant, and if we need to change them, we'll come back and change them into variables. Okay. For the description, we need the description. Let's go ahead and change that to let as well. We also need one more thing. We need an accent color that we're going to be using in various different places. So let's go ahead and create an accent color property, and this is going to be of color type. Now, as soon as we add color type, we see these errors. Now, the error is because color does not exist in foundation. We need something extra. What we need, Xcode already tells us that, hey, you cannot find color, you need to import SwiftUI core. So simply importing SwiftUI will eliminate this error. Okay, now when we are conforming to equitable protocol, we want to compare two different onboarding steps in this case. Now, when we want to compare two different onboarding step is an object with many properties. So how would we tell our compiler that how two objects are equal because they might have like different memory addresses, so we won't be able to distinguish them. So for that, we can actually help the runtime and the compiler understand how our struct compare two values, and we can do that by using a custom func equal function, which is basically an override or an operator override, and the operator that we are overriding here is double equal. So we're simply gonna say and this is a static. There you go. So I'm gonna take this suggestion and I'm gonna take this suggestion as well. All right, so this custom func equal simply tells Swift how to determine whether two onboarding steps values are equal or not. Here we consider two steps equal if their ID is same, ignoring all the other properties. So even if their title and color were to change, the step's identity stayed tied to its ID. Now this combination makes the onboarding step a well-behaved, lightweight data model for our onboarding flow. All right, so this is basically all the data model that we need, and coming up next is our view model that we're going to work through. Okay, so I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.